Life sure does come at you fast sometimes, doesn't it? As Ash Parrish, the author of the article we covered just yesterday, has protected her account, which seems like a strange thing to do, seeing as she urged people to contact her and to engage in respective dialogue. Well, the reason why is because our intrepid investigative reporter here, who infiltrated the evil alt-right Discord server and Steam group, Sweet Baby Inc. detected... I do love how she was trying to tie that to the alt-right. A movement that has not been politically relevant for, what, 5 years now? Details. Because, well, some messages she had had with other users began to appear. I interviewed her. The editors told her that given an accurate timeline may make it seem as if that outlet is implying the backlash was to some extent deserved, a stance they want to avoid. So this is the reason then why she did not mention in her article that the whole thing that started the Sweet Baby Inc. backlash wasn't actually Sweet Baby Inc. detected, the Steam group, at all, but rather a Sweet Baby Inc. employee trying to cancel the group and specifically its main founder as well, by giving out his Steam account in detail and ordering all of his followers to go mass report him and the group. There, incidentally, is the biggest thing here. If they were merely, as the other leaked messages say here, if they were merely going after a vector of harassment or something, merely the Steam group, then okay, fair enough. In that case, it's up to Steam, I suppose, to determine whether or not it is actually a harassment campaign. Spoiler alert, it isn't, and Steam decided it wasn't. But no, they went after the individual in question. That is why we can undisputedly call it a harassment campaign. Unless Ash Paris is saying that going after somebody online is not harassment. Which someone more malicious than myself might take some leaps of logic with, but hey, detail. So, let's read through some of this, shall we? We're not going to agree, and it's fine, we don't have to. I don't agree that Kindred calling for the report of the Steam list coverage constitutes harassment. Again, a fascinating point of view. Associated with that list was a discussion forum 100 pages of threads filled with terrible shit up to and including harassment. You should have grabbed some screenshots because I'm still waiting for those receipts. Getting rid of the list gets rid of that forum, and you'll see now Steam cut that shit out. Those forums are gone, at least they were last time I checked. Incidentally, we know from the site itself, or the Steam group, that it wasn't actually Steam who removed it. Rather, the moderators of the group figured, okay, we are getting a lot of attention now, we are going to lock the forums, we are going to lock the discussion, because we haven't been paying close enough attention. For the simple reason that Cabrutus, the founder, had no idea that his group, that started with maybe 1,000 followers, would grow to over 250,000. In fact, I think it's past 300,000 now by quite some margin, so surprisingly enough, they weren't moderating quite as vehemently as they probably should have to begin with. And the list is still there. I'm not going to fault Kindred for trying and halfway succeeding at getting a vector for harassment shut down. Well, how about if we decide the Sweet Baby Inc. has been harassing us by ruining our hobbies? How can you then blame us for getting that vector of harassment shut down? Well, it's of course because this is a tribalistic point of view. My side good, your side bad, end of discussion. And you know what? This is a point of view you have largely managed to convince me of, journalists. As far as the omission of the instigation incident from report, okay, let's look at this event holistically, taking everything into account. Because Kindred finds the list, asks Full to report the list, and its maker. Again, that's the crucial part. Reports are filed and Steam acts only as far as to delete lock the forum, which they didn't, they merely contacted them. The list still exists, Cabrutus' account still exists. That's because Steam found that they had done nothing wrong. This is where the story should end, and all in all, that is not really report-worthy because it is an interpersonal conflict that ends in a stalemate. Happens all the time. Sorta, but not really, kinda. But as we both know, the story doesn't end there, it continues, and what resulted of that interpersonal conflict was this outside outpouring of the grossest kind of bigotry that blew up so big. Well, you see. Well, here's the thing, this wasn't actually an interpersonal conflict. In fact, me and Dev on the last ArchCast, number 104, we dug into the stuff behind the DHS, apparently being called in to start looking into gamer extremism. which seems ridiculous, so we began to dig into the various reports surrounding it, finding out the people who were actually making these reports, the people making these claims and making these suggestions. Well, turns out those names go through the long fucking haul. There is a group of people out there who were receiving governmental grants in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. We managed to find one for $137,000 from the government of Canada, specifically to look into extremism in gaming. These are then the same people who were trying to get the DHS and the FBI to investigate gamer extremism. This is not some interpersonal conflict thing. Sweet Baby Inc. is not the root of evil here. It is merely one of the symptoms of a really genuinely terrible group that is actively trying to get the fucking government to investigate gaming for their own political reasons. As of course the reason why they want to investigate it is to get rid of those darned alt-right terrorists who, again, probably stopped behaving like anything 5 years ago. Honestly, the whole alt-right thing hasn't existed for half a decade, but I suppose it's the most useful boogie bear they have, so they keep bringing it up again. Going on, but as we both know, this is the story I get that in respect of thoroughness and completeness, not sharing that Kindred started this is upsetting, and it feels like a lie of omission. That is because it is. But what does including it do? Well, it gives you the full context. You painted this as an exclusively one-sided harassment campaign launched against a company who did absolutely nothing by a group of complete insane people who were just harassing them for shits and giggles, when in reality, they did not fire the first shot. That is what including it does. Let's be honest and real here, not much. Again, tribalism doesn't even begin to cover this. Does what Kindred did with his tweet warrant the response his boss, his company, journalists, and sympathetic developers received? Yes, because again, there is so much more to this. The entire discussion that they keep putting forward, oh, they're just attacking Sweet Baby Inc., that's all, it's just a consultant company, is a barefaced lie. And I've already said this multiple times, I've proven it multiple times, we've seen it again live on stream as we've discovered this. I showed it during the last video as well. This is simply not reality that they are trying to defend here, and this is why their position are so weak, and why they are floundering every step of the way, because they can't keep their story straight. Because that is what it is, a story, a figment of their imagination. His bosses come to journalists and sympathetic developers received. No, not even close. Kindred said, hey, this sucks, let's take this shitty thing down, and the guy who did it. That is exactly what Cabrutus said as well, incidentally. And the response was death threats, which you have yet to produce. I don't believe you, journalist. Your entire profession is synonymous with lying. And so you run into this thing where including this detail makes it seem like inciting incidents on equal footing with what happened next, and it is so not, it is so not. Yeah, that's true. What your side did was so much worse. Best analogy I can think of, it is like a woman is walking on the street minding a business, she sees a guy looking at her with a nasty expression, she tells the guy to fuck off, and the guy rapes her. No, I don't think that's an analogy. I think, hell, even in this case, you see a guy with a nasty look, you go up to him, you start berating him. And there's the thing here. There's a difference here between a man and a woman. And this is the part of an old comedy skit I remember. When a man sees another man who is bigger than him giving him the stink eye, that man skedaddles. Because you don't fuck with men that are larger than you. Whereas the woman will go up to the man and slap him. Consequences to continue. A joke, of course, but no. This is not an accurate allegory in any way, sense, or shape. Especially as the, rape part, which I suppose is supposed to be allegoric to the harassment, you have yet to actually show any of this. I'll share the conversation I had with my editor about this because I am prepared for my piece and I struggled with this particularly a bit, and the conversation I had really helped me understood. Cabrutus and his ilk have a grievance against Sweet Baby Inc. that is rooted in racism and misogyny. No, but your grievance against us is certainly rooted in racism and sexism, and has no basis in the reality of how video games development works. A lie. We proved that in the last video. Pale, bald-faced lie. And we get into the nitty-gritty of who did what, when, not obviously the who's and the what's that are necessary to explain the story. That central premise gets lost. Correct. If you look at the facts of the situation, Ash Parish, your position disappears because your side is the antagonistic side. Correct. And me personally, I have to remember what my piece is ultimately about. And there you have it too. She even admits it herself. What her piece was ultimately about was not to represent reality or truth, it was to represent her one-sided interpretation of a political divide. She is nothing more than a political agent in this. That is all she is, that is all she had any idea or agency to be, and that is all she ever aimed to do. This is why journalist is synonymous with liar. And it is not about providing a timeline of events. It is bigger than that. It's about explaining that the reason you're hearing about this company called Sweet Baby and Gamergate 2.0 getting thrown around is because there is a group of people who decided they hate woke video games and found a convenient scapegoat to target and a large conspiracy to underpin it. A conspiracy which exists. As incidentally as well, after me and Dev found all of those things, they have since been wiped off the internet. The various reports, the various urges to the DHS, etc., all of them are now gone. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. With that big picture thesis, those smaller details, even the ones considered important to the players involved, become largely immaterial to the story. Reality becomes immaterial to Ash Parish the moment her politics get involved. Kinder's tweets and his gloating, however bad or ill-advised they might be, is not the fulcrum on which the story is made or broken. And I understand why you don't see it that way, why others have the anger that they do about it, and I'd urge you to think about it this way. This story, mine, Kotaku's, everybody else's, because this of course was a lockstep prepared response, honestly isn't even about Sweet Baby. It is not about defending them or protecting them specifically, it is bigger than that. Yes, it is your politics. It is about explaining to readers that there is a group of people trying to fight another culture war within the video game space just like 10 years ago. Not just like 10 years ago, it's still going on. It is about explaining to the reader, but fundamentally this movement isn't going to have the same outcome it did last time. That is correct, because last time we lost. And for some reason, I don't think we're gonna this time. These culture wars are like Don Quixote's, and I've picked a fight they already lost. Here's why. That's the story, that's really the only story here. And you know what? You're again entirely correct. Your article, with 0 comments, with 0 traction, that achieved nothing but provide your opposition with ammunition, hi, has done exactly that. You have proven that your side is weaker than ever. You have proven that you are still the same liars as last time around, but this time far more people are paying attention to you. This is why gaming journalism went from being idealized, unironically, in like the 2004s and early 2000s, to being vilified to the point of absolute rejection today. You are entirely correct. This conflict is not going to end like the last one. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be your side that'll be fleeing the field this time around. Let's see if you managed to survive as well as we did. Somehow I doubt it. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon. Have a good day.